What is going on, guys? Happy July 1st. And the Phoenix Suns are in the NBA Finals. And there's no happier man on planet Earth right now than Chris Paul. And this is a guy who deserves it. This guy's been in the league for 16 years? 16 seasons? And he's now made his first finals appearance with Phoenix. Coming into this season, Phoenix didn't make the playoffs last year, but they were kind of America's sweetheart, right? In the bubble, everybody loved Phoenix because they went 8-0. They put on a show. Devin Booker was going crazy. DeAndre Ayton was going crazy. Kind of just like, okay, maybe this team's going to be good for years to come. Never did I think this team was going to go from not making the playoffs to, wow, all right, this team's in the NBA Finals. And not only that, it's what this team does. It's what this team does. By no means is this the most talented team in the NBA. They're not. But I can say this over and over like I have on many occasions. What the Suns do special is they're such a good basketball team. Team basketball. They play team basketball. Their offensive plays are great. Their effort's great. They do not take plays off. They don't. And if one guy has a bad night, well, you know what? Someone's stepping up. And that's what great teams do. You look at game 6 right here. After they drop game 5, it's like, all right, Clippers are a resilient team. Right? And let's talk about the Clippers' resilience. Paul George, look, you got to give appreciation to him. He averaged 27 a game, 10 rebounds, averaged a double-double, and 5 assists. And he played 41 minutes a game. He played the most out of any player so far in the playoffs. So you know what? You got to give him respect where credit's due. They're resilient. They don't back down. They do not back down. So when a team that's like Phoenix, you got to look at it as, okay, you dropped game 5 on home court. That was probably a good chance to clinch. Now you got to go back to LA, and they're a pretty good home team. And they did. They came out, and from the jump, you could tell something was in the air with Phoenix, and they're going to come in, and they're going to blow LA off the floor. It wasn't close. It was. I mean, at moments it was, but Phoenix was a better team all night. And you got to give it to the point guard, Chris Paul. There's no other way to put it. 41 points, 8 assists, and 7 threes. He outscored the Clippers 27-18 down the stretch to clinch his finals appearance. It shows how much it means to him. It does. Chris Paul was so good, so incredibly good. Look, it was a 7-point game when Chris Paul was on the bench. Cam Payne was getting a little bit of a run. I thought Cam played decent, but Chris Paul is better, of course. So Monty Williams decides, all right, let's go bring Chris in, back in crunch time, close this out, let's go to the finals. He scored 27 out of the last 35 points. Like I said, he had 27 compared to the Clippers' 18. He outscored them. He outscored them down the stretch. That's how good he was. And then he checks out, and they bring the bench warmers, and the Suns were up 24. Talk about a pretty big difference. That's exactly what Chris Paul was able to do. Now, when we talk about this team not making the playoffs last year, you look at a team, the Suns, that had a winning percentage of 302 in the previous 5 seasons. And now they're going to the finals? That's the worst in 5 seasons prior to anything building up to making a finals appearance in all of the professional sports. So they kind of came out of nowhere is a good way to put it, to be honest. They did. We knew what they were capable of, but we kind of thought maybe they'd be a 4 or 5 first round exit. Well, this year, after getting the addition of Chris Paul, getting the addition of Jay Crowder, we know what they did in the bubble, and now look what they are. They're in the finals, and I think no matter who they play, you give them Milwaukee or Atlanta, the Phoenix Suns are favored to win the championship. And I've said this multiple times in the past, the Suns are the best team in the NBA. And I will stick with my take on that, and I'm not going to change it. I genuinely believe that the Phoenix Suns are the best team in the NBA. Now, we can give all the praise we want to Chris Paul, which is well-deserved, and I believe he 100% does, and talk about toughness of Devin Booker playing through a broken nose. That's not easy. DeAndre Ayton was playing great, but a guy in Game 6 that he's a good role player, has minutes here and there, but he's not really going to, you think, make a factor? Torrey Craig. Cam Johnson was ruled out with a sickness. Now, you look at Cam Johnson, he was a huge factor coming off the bench. He's a spark plug, really good offensively, and can play a little defense. So not having him actually took a big hit. Well, Torrey Craig stepped up in that opportunity, and he ran with it. Torrey Craig was a plus 28 in his plus-minus when he was on the floor. He was the highest plus-minus on the Suns out of anybody. Torrey Craig, have a day. Have a day, Torrey Craig. Fair enough to him, and he deserves credit for that because that's freaking awesome. Good for him. That's a guy waiting for his opportunity at the right time and is going to take advantage of it, and that's exactly what he did. It's exactly what he did. So So good for him. Good for him. And I just can't continue to talk about this Suns team enough. 2 seasons ago, they had the worst record in the NBA. I was there. I went to Suns games that year. I went to one Suns game. It was them against the Hawks. And I remember this conversation vividly. I do. It's me and like a security guard or whatever as I'm checking into the Hawks-Suns game. And I was wearing a Devin Booker jersey because why? Who else would I wear? I love Devin. That's my guy, ride or die. You guys know that. And he goes, where do you think the Suns are going to be in the next couple of years? And my quote was, well, I hope we're going to be fun to watch in a playoff team. Never did I think they were going to make the finals. And then I asked the security guard that. I said, where do you think the Hawks are going to be in about 3 years? He goes, probably the same, maybe a 4 or 5 seed. Well, small world, right? Hawks are a 5 seed this year. Hawks have a chance to go to the NBA Finals. Suns, 2 seed. Suns are in the NBA Finals. I remember that conversation, and it was crazy. And I got to meet Devin Booker that night for the 3rd time. I got to talk to him before warm-ups. And I it's something we talked about. Said, you're going to be in the finals one day. You're going to be special. You're going to be special. Gave me a fist bump, whatever. We talked about Kentucky and meeting at Kentucky. Devin's a great guy. I'll never forget that. But it's just crazy how small things like that work. That Devin and I had a small conversation. Me and the security guy have a small conversation. And here we are. Awesome. So I'm so excited for the Suns. Like I said, I'm a diehard Celtic fan. We know this. There will always be my number 1. But the Suns are as close to a team as I'll ever get to as actually being a diehard, passionate fan about. And if you know me as a close friend of mine, or if you are you just know me, it's hard for me to do that. Like I joke that I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan sometimes because my father is a Bengals fan, loves them. So I mean, I'll joke that I'm a Bengals fan, but I'm not a diehard Bengals fan. Sometimes I joke about it, but it's the Suns. I have a super soft spot for. I love them. I'm so excited that they're going to the finals, and yeah, it's a special moment. It's a very good night for me. I'm very excited, and following this team all year, I knew they were capable of something, and this is beautiful. So go Suns. They're in the finals against the winner of Milwaukee, Atlanta. Let's transition to that though. So what's the big topic around the NBA this playoff push? Stars getting injured. You can make probably a good 10-on-10, 12-on-12 all-star team of just playoff injuries, and you'd have a loaded roster. So to add to that list, we could add Trae Young, right? Twisted his ankle. We talked about that, and he wasn't able to go in Game 4. So if you're a betting man, you're not taking Atlanta in that game. No, not in a million years. Now, by no means is Atlanta a one-man team. They're not, because look, Kevin Huerter, guys like that, you have good players. But Trae Young is pretty a big piece. Like, it's a pretty big piece. When you lose a franchise player, that's not easy no matter what. Well, they rallied for Trae. They rallied. Milwaukee just didn't look good at all. And we can talk about when Giannis gets injured because, first of all, how Giannis had no structural damage to his leg when his leg bent in a position you're surely as hell not supposed to bend in. That's mind-boggling. So he's doubtful for Game 5, but this has now put a change on the series because you go from without Trae Young, Milwaukee's going to win the series. Not, I wouldn't say easily, but pretty confidently, right? And then, you take Game 4 at home, and it's like, okay, now this series is interesting because Giannis got hurt. You could possibly get Trae back, and now I think this shifts to Atlanta. I think Atlanta has the front foot now. They could. Now, it'll be interesting, though. Chris Middleton, he's a great number 2. We get that he's a great number 2. What can he do as a number 1 if Giannis can't go? Because losing Giannis is almost as big as losing any other player in the NBA. Kind of one of the most important. You could argue losing LeBron this year would have been less of a hurt to the Lakers than the Bucks losing Giannis because you have a guy to rely on like Anthony Davis, who is a number 1. Well, Chris Middleton's a good player, but he's not a number 1. So this will be interesting to see the Bucks Hawks, the little chess match they have going on. 2-2. Game 5's tonight. This is massive. In Milwaukee has to protect home court because we don't know if we're getting Giannis back. And I would assume Trae's going to be back. I would assume. But if not Trae, it's pretty even. So, look, the Hawks guys did what they needed to do. They played their roles perfectly. They stepped up when their star guy went down. Trae looked to be having fun on the bench, jumping up and down. So the ankle looked to be in good spirits there, and he looked to be happy. So maybe they can get him back for Game 5. It sucks having these stars get hurt. It does. It sucks. You never want to see anybody get hurt, but especially a star. Guys you want to tune in and actually watch. Because now you're going to be watching, Bogan Bogdanovic, Kevin Huerter versus Chris Middleton? That's not as exciting, but you get what I'm saying. But hey, the Hawks, congratulations on a big Game 4 win. Basically keeps your season alive because it'd be hard enough to go down 3-1 because you're not the LA Clippers that find a way to always battle back. But Hawks get one in Atlanta. This series has gotten interesting. Now we shift our gears to hockey. Stanley Cup Final Game 2. This so far so good. So far so good. Last series, both of my projections looked terrible. I said Montreal was going to get smoked by Vegas, that Tampa Bay was going to smoke the Islanders. Neither of that happened. Well, this series, I said Tampa Bay is going to smoke Montreal. We're off to a 2-0 lead, so it's looking good for me on that one. Look, Montreal, Carey Price can only do so much. The offense isn't there. Tampa Bay, look, Blake Coleman scores as he's falling to the ice at the buzzer to end the second period. What a goal. It's just, Tampa Bay is too strong right now. All four lines, they have the best fourth line in the NHL. I don't think that's even debatable. They're the best team in the NHL. They got the best goalie in the NHL, one of the best head coaches in the NHL. They're just good year in and year out, and this is tough. Montreal now gets home ice, but you can't afford to lose a game. You have to win both in your home barn. It's not looking good. Game 3 is a must win because if you go down 3-0, you're not coming back. So Stanley Cup, it's not as exciting as what it could have been. If we would have had a Colorado Tampa Bay final or a Vegas Tampa Bay final, you're looking at one of the best Stanley Cups we've had in the last 15 years. Would have been awesome. Unfortunately, we didn't get that opportunity. And when you have a Cinderella team like Montreal, who finished 18th out of 31 teams, I think, 30, something like that, teams in the NHL, where at some point it's going to catch up to them, and it's just not good enough. So, not looking good for the Canadians. They can still bounce back. They need to. Not looking good. Tampa Bay just seems to be clicking on all cylinders. They're just a great team. The Tampa Bay Lightning are a phenomenal team. There's no other way to put it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go back-to-back and Pat Maroon, Tampa Bay center, gets a hat trick, as that would be his third Stanley Cup championship in a row. Not a bad career to have, especially with your last 3 years if you go just Stanley Cup winner, Stanley Cup champ, Stanley Cup champ. Not bad. Now, the College World Series, guys, holy heck, what an electric atmosphere. I freaking love it, dude. There's no other way to put it. College baseball is a slept-on sport. And you know what I love about college baseball compared to the MLB? You can have fun in college. Like, that's a no-brainer. But, they can have fun. When you hit a homer, you can trash talk, you can taunt, you can do whatever the hell you want. Baseball, you're getting a 95 mile per hour right off the back or right towards your head. Because it's soft, all the unwritten rules bullshit, we all get that, right? It's stupid. But College World Series, when you have an electric atmosphere, you have guys that are playing every game like it's their last game ever, and the celebrations are electric. Now, when you look at Omaha, Mississippi State, after we talked, they lost game 1 to Vanderbilt. How are they going to bounce back? Well, Vanderbilt in game 2 decided to put a 17-year-old on the mound from St. Louis. Now, this kid, he made his first start in the SEC tournament 10 days after he graduated high school. So I know I have a huge age demographic that can go from teenagers to even adults that listen to the show that I know of. So I want you to think, if you are one of the teenager kids, like 17-year-old, listening to this, imagine you're in high school, and then you get called, you graduate, and next thing you know, you're pitching in a College World Series, a chance to clinch for your team. The nerves on that kid's unbelievable. Now, I want to think, first of all, earlier in this high school kid's career, like this past season when he was in high school, how do you like to be a kid up to bat, just getting 95 just chucked past you, or whatever the hell this kid throws, and not touching him? That's insane. And now a couple months later, you're watching him on ESPN pitch against now the College World Series champs in Mississippi State. That's crazy. That kid, though, got knocked up pretty bad. It wasn't a good night for him. And then it wasn't a good night for Vanderbilt bullpen. Mississippi State was putting on a show. And my boy Dak Prescott was there. And great thing to see. Kid catches a foul ball. and literally Dak asked for the ball just so he can sign it. Kid didn't even have to ask for an autograph. Dak's a man of the people. I love him. That's one of the most well-respected guys, I think, around the NFL, and an actual good human being, which I wish nothing but the best for. And I'm not just saying that because that is my favorite player in the NFL or whatever, or he plays for my team, the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott is a genuinely good guy. His parents raised him well, and he's a legend in Mississippi. I can tell you that. He's a legend in Mississippi, and it's really hard it's really hard to hate him. And I'm sure Eagles fans, Giants fans, and even Washington football team fans hate him, but I'm sure a lot of them will say it's really hard to. The guy's just a very good guy. And I hope one time he can bring home a Super Bowl. That is, selfish, but still, I would love to see it. But all of Starkville was there for Game 3. And they were there all series, to be honest. But they were there for Game 3. The atmosphere in Omaha literally was a home game for Mississippi State. There's no other way to put it. And it wasn't a good time for Kumar Rocker to have one of his worst starts of the season as he gives up 4 runs. Then the bullpen guy comes in and gives up 4 runs. And it's a 9-0 win for Mississippi State. This wasn't down to the wire. This wasn't exciting unless you are a Mississippi State fan. Shout out Jacob Frazier, friend of the podcast. He's been on here before to talk about Mississippi State football before. I'm sure you guys know him. But very happy man tonight. Very happy man. Look, Mississippi State was the better team. They were great. Vanderbilt's defense had a lot of miscues. They weren't hitting the ball well. Bernard, probably, I think I butchered his name. But, look, that guy, I've seen a mock draft. He's projected to go 16th and 17th. He could be a little higher after this performance. He had a no-hitter going into the 7th. And then I think Vanderbilt gets their first hit in the 8th maybe. So, Mississippi State, awesome job. College World Series champs. I think Mississippi State has maybe the best fan base for college baseball. You look, everybody, there's a lot of good fan bases. Arkansas is unreal. Arkansas's got a great one. Ole Miss. But Mississippi State's right up there. And after what they did in Omaha, that was unbelievable. So shout out Dak Prescott. Shout out Jacob Frazier. And shout out the Mississippi State Bulldogs for winning their first championship in all of anything. Just anything. They're one of the Power 5 teams, I think out of 3 or 5 of them, that have never won a championship in any sport possible. Well, now they can take that off their list as the Mississippi State Bulldogs have finally won one. But that was electric. So shout out Mississippi State. Now to end the show, oh my God, it's coming home. It is coming home, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. England, there is no other way to put it. England was underdogs against this Germany squad. And I wasn't letting myself get caught up in that. I wouldn't, because I know that what this England's team capable of. And we can talk about Gareth Southgate and his tactics all we want, meaning, look, he played 5 in the back, he played 2 holding midfielders, and 3 attackers, questionable lineup. There's not enough creativity in the lineup. But at the same time, we can bash him for all he wants. But he knows what he's doing. We can bash him, but look what he did in the 2018 World Cup. Got him to the semifinals and lost in a heartbreaking fashion. But he got him to semis. And now look, now they're in the quarters. But they haven't allowed a goal all tournament as well. Let's keep that in mind. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I know he gets a lot of backlash from the England media, but Southgate might be the one to bring it home. Against Germany, England, all the business is shut down. All the business is shut down for the most part, so everybody can get drunk and go watch the game and have a good time. Well, it was worth it. It was 0-0 most of the game. A couple opportunities here and there, nothing spectacular. Jordan Pickford, great save, though, to keep England in it. And then on the break, Raheem Sterling ends up backing one in the back of the net, and everybody goes mental. I'm watching a video on my computer right now. There's no other way to put it. England have the best fans in the world when it comes to soccer. I think they're the best. And I wish you guys could see this video. It's on ESPN FC's Twitter account, and it's just mental. You got guys jumping on tarps, shirts coming off. It's there's nothing like it. Having fans back is so great. You got guys landing on top of each other. Unbelievable. But there's something about this England squad in the air. There's something about them. You look, and it's just, they might not play the prettiest of football, but what they do is they're a tight unit. They're not going to let you break them down, and they're going to catch you on the counterattack, and they're going to take advantage of it. And I know Harry Kane gets a lot of criticism. He's gotten a lot from me this summer because he's been playing his ass in the midfield when he needs to be in his own box. But what a goal he did. Nice little header to end the game. And look, Ukraine against Sweden, what a game that was. Zinchenko scores a goal and then gets an assist, and they score in the 121st minute. First of all, insane. I wanted penalty kicks. Unfortunately, I didn't get that. So now you're looking at Ukraine-England. Now, I'm not going to, if I'm an England player or as a fan myself, I don't want to overlook Ukraine. They got to the quarters. There's a reason they got to the quarters. If you're in the quarters, hey, fair enough. You got to take everybody seriously, right? Maybe it was the luck of the draw. They weren't on the other side. What? But you got to play what's in front of you. If England doesn't make the finals, this is a real shamble. This is a real shamble because now you get Ukraine, then you get the winner of the Czech Republic, Denmark, and you're better than both of them, and then you're in the bloody final. You're in the bloody final. But look, England's never even won a Euros. They've only won one World Cup. There's been over 40 years of hurt, like the song says, and we're going to play that, by the way, at the end of the show. But this team has got something special in them, and when you just look at that bench, how deadly they are. Phil Foden, Mason Mount, Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish is absolutely world class. I think he's linked to City, by the way. That would be massive if Pep Guardiola can bring him in. But I really do think it's coming home. And I know a lot of people in England that I know, my family, they think I'm crazy when I said I thought England was going to win the Euros. They thought I was bloody crazy. Well, here we are. There's a bloody chance. But it would be typical England to find a way to lose on Saturday at 3 to Ukraine. I hope they don't do that because that would be heartbreaking. And I would not take that bloody well. But we will see. There's just something special in the air right now for England. And I love this team, and I love what Southgate's doing right now. I mean, I wouldn't say I love it, but a win is a win. Tactical masterpiece. That's all you can ask for. 2 World Wars and 1 World Cup. England. Some of you aren't going to understand that, but, England beat Germany in 2 World Wars, and they beat them in a World Cup. So there you go. Yeah. That's probably gonna wrap it up. No. One thing about the Suns Clippers, I can add a guy to my hate list. So we know how I hate Ben Simmons. We know how I hate Kyrie. Screw Pat Beverly. Oh my God, I hate Patrick Beverly. Jeez Louise, the guy's an imbecile. I can respect you to a point of what you've done in your career. By, you have to be the gritty guy because if Patrick Beverly, what his role is he is just a pest. He's going to make you hate him. He's trying to get in your head, play a little physical brand of basketball, and just talk trash. He doesn't do that. He doesn't have a job in the NBA. Simple. So I can respect to what he does to a certain degree, but he takes it too far sometimes. He gets thrown out for just a push in the back when Chris Paul didn't even say anything. He's just walking to his bench and he pushes him in the back. Come on. I mean, that's cheeky. What are you doing? And talk about Devin Booker and the Suns guys, though. Keeping their composure. All series, I think this is a massive thing that gets underlooked, is when Beverly guarded Booker, the amount of, he had the broken nose, a lot of trash talk, a lot of tough fouls on Booker. But for Booker to keep his composure, that's a thing that you see a veteran do. We got to remember, Booker's still young. In 2015, he was a freshman. So 16 would have been a sophomore, 17 junior, 2018 senior. So 2019, guys, this should be his 3rd year in the league, realistically. But he's a young kid. And he kept his composure. But I hate Patrick Beverly. He's just dirty. That's a good way to put it. Patrick Beverly's dirty. You could also say the other thing about Chris Paul. He might be as well. But at the end of the day, the Suns are going to the finals, and I'm excited, especially living here in Georgia. If it is a Suns-Hawks final, that would be something awesome. Now, of course, I want the Suns to win, without a doubt, but it'd be cool to see. It would be cool to see. I don't think I would go, but I would definitely consider, if the Suns come here, to go and see the Suns clinch in person. That would cross my mind. But I don't think I missed any topics. If I did, I'm sorry. But that is going to wrap it up here on the Mac on Sports episode, July 1st, 12:47 in the morning. I know Phoenix, Arizona's going crazy. No happier person in the world than Chris Paul. Go, Suns, go. And to end it on a good note, let's play It's Coming Home, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, England, get in.